Theodor Herzl proves himself an able statesman in the years following the appearance of his pamphlet, The Jewish State. In 1898, he obtains a meeting with the German Kaiser Wilhelm II in Constantinople and again in Palestine. The Zionist idea inspires the Kaiser, who writes to his uncle.
I am convinced that the settlement of the Holy Land by the healthy and industrious people of Israel will bring unparalleled prosperity and blessing to the Holy Land.
But when the Kaiser proposes Herzl's ideas for a chartered company in Palestine, the Turkish Sultan brushes the suggestion aside and the Kaiser loses interest. It's a bitter disappointment. Herzl decides to try and meet with the Sultan directly. He succeeds in May 1901. Herzl proposes to the Sultan that the Jews will help with Turkey's finances in exchange for a charter granting Jews rights to acquire land in Palestine. The long drawn-out negotiations, which continue off and on for over a year, lead Herzl to conclude that the road to Palestine through Turkey is at least for the time being blocked. Herzl turns then to Egypt, pinning his hopes on El Arish in the Sinai. In April 1903, Herzl meets with Joseph Chamberlain, Britain's colonial secretary, in order to gain support for his efforts to obtain Egypt's permission for Jewish settlement in El Arish. Chamberlain, noting the unlikelihood of Egyptian approval, suggests another area, having recently returned from a trip to Africa where he has seen land well suited for Europeans.
I thought to myself, that's just the country for Dr. Herzl, but he must have Palestine and will move only into its vicinity.
Herzl confirms to Chamberlain.
Yes, I must have Palestine. We have to build on a national foundation. That is why we must have the political attraction of El Arish.
Herzl refers to the fact that El Arish is at least in Sinai, the stage on which the Jewish nation was formed following the exodus from Egypt. Only when Herzl's hopes for the Sinai are dashed does he begin to take seriously the African proposal. In part, Herzl is moved to entertain Chamberlain's offer because he feels the urgent need to find swift help for the Jews. A new pogrom, this time in Kishinev, the capital of Bessarabia, affects Herzl deeply.
7 million outlawed human beings who have again begun to tremble. They dare not arm. They are not defended. They feel themselves surrendered up. And to what a rabble!
In June, he confides his plan to take up Chamberlain's offer for East Africa to Max Nordau, the famed writer, and one of the first to pledge his support to Herzl. Nordau objects that the Jews will not accept a land outside of Israel, to which is wedded all of Jewish history and tradition. Herzl argues,
We still hold aloft, yes, and higher than ever, the flag of Zion, beneath which we and our forces assemble. But we must give an answer to Kishinev, and this is the only one. We must, in a word, play the politics of the hour.
In August, Herzl makes a second difficult decision. He journeys to Russia to meet the Tsar's Minister of Interior von Plehve, the man responsible for the Kishinev pogrom. Herzl sees a community of interests between anti-Semites and Zionists. Anti-Semites want Jews out. Zionists offer Jews a place to go. Herzl also appeals to von Plehve's fear of socialism, arguing that Zionism lessens the threat as disaffected Jews provide the revolution with leaders and ideas. Von Plehve becomes the most unlikely of Zionists. He agrees to Herzl's suggestion that he write a letter stating that the Zionist movement could count on Russia's moral and material assistance. Although the meeting is a political success, Herzl is condemned by those who feel that no Jewish leader should meet with a man stained with the blood of Jewish victims. It is in this emotionally charged environment that the Uganda project is introduced at the 6th Zionist Congress. The area in question is not, in fact, in Uganda, but in what is today Kenya. In his opening speech, Herzl says,
Zion, this is certainly not, and can never become. It is and must remain an emergency measure which is intended to come to the rescue and prevent the loss of these detached fragments of our people.
What happens next astonishes Herzl. The Russian representatives, among them the Zionists of Kishinev, who are most in need of a refuge, refused to consider any land but Eretz Yisrael. Herzl wins the vote to send an exploratory mission to East Africa, but at great cost. The entire opposition, over 170 members, leaves the Congress in protest. When Herzl hears they are sitting in the corridor weeping, he goes to console them. He assures them that the Basel program will not be violated. Herzl has underestimated the profound historical connection between the nation of Israel and its ancient land. Unfortunately, this Zionist Congress will be his last. His heart weakened by his exertions, Herzl dies a year later, on July 3, 1904. In his will, he says,
I wish to be buried in the vault beside my father, and to lie there till the Jewish people shall take my remains to Israel.
In 1949, the newly formed State of Israel moves Herzl's remains from Vienna to Jerusalem. He is buried on a mountain bearing his name. Herzl's achievements are immense. In a brief 8 years, he organized a Zionist Congress, which became the central organization of a new Jewish world policy. He launched Die Welt, or The World, a publication devoted to Zionist ideas. He created the Jewish Colonial Trust, a bank to focus Jewish financial resources. And most importantly, he showed the Jewish people the way, through political action, to achieve their long-cherished dream of a return to Zion.
If you will it, it is no dream.